A missing woman's car has been spotted at the scene of an ongoing death investigation. Thanks so much for joining us. First at 4, I'm Kim Anderson.
And I'm John Carter. A source tells WBTV Frezja Baker's car has been found. We told you she was last seen Thursday when her family suddenly lost contact with her.
It's the most horrific thing you could hear, as just being in the community. Not even, I'm sure the family is going, emotional in this sense, because to hear that your family member has been found in a car, that's truly sad.
31-year-old Frezja Baker was found dead in her car behind an abandoned church, and the man accused of killing her had already proven he was capable of murder once before. Yet the system let him walk free after serving just 2 years of a 17-year sentence. If that doesn't shake you to your core, then you haven't been paying attention to how badly we're failing women in this country. Listen, if stories like Frezja's make you realize why we need to keep talking about these cases, why we can't let them fade into silence, then I need you to show up right now. Hit that like button, subscribe to She's Alive, and turn on notifications, because every single one of these stories matters. And the more people watching means the more pressure we put on a system that keeps letting us down. Don't just scroll past this one, okay? So let me tell you about Frezja Baker, because she was so much more than what happened to her. Born on July 22nd, 1994, Frezja grew up in Charlotte, North Carolina, surrounded by family who adored her. Her dad, Freddie, would tell anyone who'd listen that his daughter was sweet, kind, lovable, the kind of person who'd give you the shirt off her back without thinking twice. That phrase, giving the shirt off her back, came up again and again when people talked about Frezja. It wasn't just something nice to say at her funeral. It was who she genuinely was. Her best friend, Wesley Winchester, said being her friend was a privilege and an honor, calling her elegant and classy. But if you asked Frezja what mattered most in her life, she wouldn't hesitate for even a second. Her 2-year-old son was everything to her. Being a mother defined Frezja's world. She wasn't one of those parents who checked in occasionally or when it was convenient. Every single day, every single night, she called her baby before he went to sleep. No matter where she was, no matter what was happening, that call happened. She took him to doctor appointments, dental appointments, made sure he was cared for by family when she couldn't be there herself. Her stylist and close friend Peaches Johnson knew Frezja's routine like clockwork, and she'd later say that when those daily calls stopped, when the messages went silent, alarm bells went off immediately. This wasn't a woman who ghosted people. This wasn't someone who'd disappear without a word. December 4th, 2025 started out normally enough. Frezja had a dental appointment scheduled for her son that morning, being the hands-on mom she always was, making sure he got the care he needed. Afterward, she dropped him off at her grandparents' house, which wasn't unusual. They helped out with childcare regularly, and Frezja trusted them completely. But that evening, something shifted. Around 10:30 at night, Frezja called her brother Fred to check in, telling him she was about an hour away from home. That was the last time anyone in her family heard her voice. An hour passed, then another, then the whole night. Frezja never showed up. She never called back. And for a woman who religiously checked on her son, who stayed in constant contact with her family, that silence was deafening. Fred Baker knew something was catastrophically wrong almost immediately. He'd later tell reporters something that perfectly captured who his sister was. "My sister never came home. She always come home to check on her kid. If she don't come home, she'll call to check on her kid." That night, there was nothing. No call. No text. No social media activity. Just silence. Peaches Johnson felt the same terror rising. Frezja called her son every day without fail, and suddenly those calls stopped. Her godsister Ty put it simply but powerfully when she said, "It is not like her not to hear from her at all." The last confirmed sighting of Frezja placed her at a mobile gas station on LaSalle Street in Charlotte around 9:52 that evening of December 4th. Security cameras captured her image, wearing a black long-sleeve shirt with Panthers written across the chest in white and blue, dark leggings, white shoes, and carrying a black purse with a gold-colored strap. She was driving her gray-blue 2004 Honda Accord with temporary South Carolina license plates. Some witnesses later reported seeing her at a cookout restaurant on West Sugar Creek Road that same night. But after that, Frezja Baker seemed to vanish into thin air. Her family refused to sit around waiting for police to do everything. They mobilized immediately, organizing search parties, printing hundreds of missing person flyers, distributing them throughout Charlotte and even into parts of South Carolina. Fred Baker, along with his parents, his Aunt Yvette Swanson, Peaches, and other friends drove through neighborhoods, checked parking lots, scoured dead-end streets, anywhere a car could be hidden. Community activist Larry Mims reached out to the family, saying, "We love you. We want to be there for you, and you got people that's caring and want to show up for you." The community rallied, searching desperately for any trace of Frezja. And while all this was happening, her 2-year-old son kept asking where Mommy was. He'd see her picture on the news and point at the screen, saying, "Mommy," breaking everyone's hearts a little more each time. 8 days went by. 8 agonizing days of searching, of hoping, of praying for some kind of miracle. Then on December 12th, 2025, at approximately 9:35 in the morning, Charlotte-Mecklenburg police received a call about a vehicle found behind an abandoned church on Sanders Avenue, right at the corner of Campus Street, just off Beatty's Ford Road. When officers arrived, they found Frezja's gray-blue Honda Accord. And inside that car, they found Frezja Baker, unresponsive. She was pronounced dead at the scene. The worst part, that abandoned church was less than 1.5 miles from the gas station, where she'd last been seen alive. She'd been there the entire time her family was frantically searching for her, hidden in plain sight behind that empty building. Police immediately opened a homicide investigation. They wouldn't release details about how Frezja died, saying the cause and manner of death were pending autopsy results, which is standard in active investigations. But detectives didn't waste time figuring out who they needed to talk to. Their focus zeroed in quickly on 38-year-old Lorenza Thomas Inman Jr., a man who went by the online alias Can't Be Touched Nuna. According to arrest warrants, Inman and Frezja had been in a dating relationship. He was the last person seen with her before she disappeared. And here's what should make your stomach turn. When Frezja's family reached out to Inman during those 8 days she was missing, begging him for help, asking if he knew anything, he refused to assist them. When police tried to talk to him, he resisted their attempts to get information. Put yourself in that family's shoes for a second. The person who was supposedly dating your missing loved one won't help you find her. What would you think? The Violent Criminal Apprehension Team tracked Inman down about 100 miles southeast of Charlotte in the small town of Maxton in Robeson County. They arrested him and brought him back to face charges: murder, assault on a female, and misdemeanor crime of domestic violence. He was booked into Mecklenburg County Jail, and the judge denied him bond entirely, which tells you the court considered him a serious flight risk and danger to the community. But here's where this case goes from tragic to absolutely enraging, and I need you to really hear this part. Lorenza Inman wasn't some guy with a clean record who supposedly snapped one day. This man had a violent criminal history that should have kept him locked away for years. Go back to 2017. Inman followed a man to a shopping center in Charlotte. When that man got out of his car, Inman shot him in the chest. Then, while standing directly over the victim lying on the ground, Inman fired several more shots. That's not a crime of passion. That's not a moment of poor judgment. That's execution-style violence. In February 2019, a jury convicted Lorenza Inman of attempted first-degree murder, assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill inflicting serious injury, and possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. The judge sentenced him to 12 to 17 years in prison. 12 to 17 years for trying to murder someone in broad daylight. Now guess how long Lorenza Inman actually served. Go ahead, take a guess. 2 years. According to jail records, he served only 2 years before being paroled in 2021. Let me say that again because it's so absurd it barely sounds real. A man convicted of attempted murder, of standing over someone and repeatedly shooting them, served 2 years out of a possible 17-year sentence. 2 years. And you want to know what happened as soon as he got out? In 2021, the exact same year he was paroled, Inman was arrested for assaulting a woman. Domestic violence. The pattern was right there. The warning signs were flashing bright red. And what did the justice system do? They gave him a 2-year suspended sentence, meaning no jail time, and ordered him to attend a domestic violence intervention program. That's it. That's all. Fast forward to October 2025, just 2 months before Frezja's death. Inman was convicted of intimidating witnesses and habitual misdemeanor assault. 2 more convictions. 2 more opportunities for the system to recognize this man was dangerous. And what happened? Another suspended sentence. 24 months of probation. No jail time. Do you see the pattern here? Do you see how many chances this man got to prove he was violent, to show he was a threat, and every single time the system said, okay, one more chance, we'll let you stay out there? And now Frezja Baker is dead. A 31-year-old mother who called her son every night before bed, who took him to dental appointments, who was described as sweet and kind and loving by everyone who knew her, is dead. And her 2-year-old son will grow up without his mother. As I'm recording this, Inman's case for Frezja's murder is still working its way through the court system. He's sitting in Mecklenburg County Jail without bond, awaiting trial. The prosecution is building their case, gathering evidence, interviewing witnesses, preparing to present everything to a jury. We don't have trial dates finalized yet. We don't have detailed testimony or courtroom drama to walk through. But we will. And when that trial happens, when that jury deliberates on Lorenza Inman's guilt or innocence, they're going to be deciding more than just whether he killed Frezja Baker. They're going to be sending a message about what we tolerate as a society, about whether we actually protect women or just pretend to care after they're already dead. Think about the cascading failures that led to this moment. A man tries to murder someone in 2017, gets convicted, receives a substantial sentence, and serves only 2 years. He gets out and immediately commits domestic violence against a woman. Instead of going back to prison for violating parole or for the new crime, he gets a slap on the wrist and some court-ordered classes. He continues to reoffend, racking up convictions for witness intimidation and habitual assault, and still, somehow, remains free. And then Frezja Baker ends up dead in her car. At what point do we stop calling these mistakes and start calling them what they really are? A systemic refusal to take violence against women seriously until it's too late. Frezja's Annie-Vette Swanson told reporters that her great-nephew, Frezja's little boy, keeps crying out, "Mommy, Mommy," and looking around for her, but Mommy's not there. He's 2 years old. He doesn't understand why his mother stopped calling him every night. He doesn't understand why she didn't come home. He just knows the most important person in his world is gone. Frezja's father, Freddie, lost his sweet, lovable daughter who would give anyone the shirt off her back. Her brother Fred lost the sister who always came home to check on her kid. Wesley Winchester lost a best friend whose friendship was an honor. And the entire Charlotte community lost another woman to violence that had every possible red flag waving before it happened. When Lorenza Inman finally stands trial, when the evidence is presented, when witnesses testify, and when that jury makes their decision, the sentence that follows matters enormously. It matters for Frezja's family, who deserve to see justice for the woman they loved. It matters for that little boy who will grow up wondering why his mother was taken from him. It matters for every other woman who might cross paths with someone like Inman in the future. And it matters because we need to know whether our justice system is willing to learn from its catastrophic failures, or if it's just going to keep recycling violent offenders back onto the streets until they finally kill someone. So here's what I want to leave you with today, and I really want you to think about these questions. How many times should someone prove they're violent before we believe them? At what point does giving someone another chance become enabling them to hurt more people? And most importantly, how do we fix a system that consistently values an offender's potential for rehabilitation over a victim's right to safety and life? Because right now, looking at Frezja Baker's case, looking at Lorenza Inman's history, it's pretty clear which side the scales are tipping toward. And it's not the side protecting women. If this case got to you, if you're angry, if you're heartbroken, if you want to see real change and real accountability, then share this video. Get people talking about it. Comment below with your thoughts because we need to have these hard conversations. Subscribe to She's Alive if you haven't already, because these stories need to be told and retold until something actually changes. And check out the other cases we've covered where the same patterns keep showing up over and over again. Frezja Baker deserved so much better than this. Her son deserves better. And we all deserve a system that actually protects people instead of waiting until they're dead to pretend it cares.